Hi, everyone, and welcome back. We are starting on loving and forgiving. And why does it start there, Stephanie? I told you a little bit about me on the last session to see if you were prepared for the journey. Because being divorced before marriage it's a lot, and it's not something so simple, but it is something I've had to live through, where I'm able to share, where I'm able to give you a testimony of things that I've overcome, not only as a single parent but as a woman of God. Not that I've been perfect, but you know what? You learn from your mistakes. You do what you can. And when you fall, you get back up. It will never be defined by your fall, but always remember to define yourself about how well you rise. So, why is it so important to forgive? Because it's not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. When you harbor so much and you don't even realize how much it's affecting you, you're literally giving that person power every day. And something that happened to me, we'll get into later. And I saw the person that hurt me years later, and they didn't even know who I was. So to go through that hurt and relive that pain, that you'll never be out of my mind, and I'll never be able to forget who you are, but you didn't even know who I was. So not only hurtful, it was damaging, and I questioned God, like, why? And speaking to my mom, and I said, why would God do this? Why would he let me see this person that hurt me so bad, and doesn't even know who I am? And she said, maybe for forgiveness. And I thought I had forgiven this person until I saw them. And sometimes you'll have a feeling of forgiveness. You'll have a feeling that you're over something until you see that person, or until God tests you and you have to talk to that person. And if you can't talk to that person without them getting an arousal or without them getting you upset, you haven't forgiven. And that's what we have to be truthful about. If you have not, and you're not to that place, be an admittance of that. Say, you know what? Help me to forgive. Help me to get over this how I really should be over it. So, and that's the biggest part of forgiving. The first person you start with is you. I had to forgive me. And I'm not going to lie, it's a process, and sometimes I'm still working on it. I have to forgive me for the not mistakes, and learn this. Stop saying the mistakes you made. We make poor choices. We are grown women, and men that are watching. We have made poor choices. We have learned to grasp society's thing of mistakes. But no, you have a choice. Just like God is not going to force himself on us. He gave us choice. So you have a choice to do the right thing or do the wrong. So stop. One learning lesson is stop saying you make mistakes. Own up, own it, live it. Hey, I made a poor decision. And now that I admit that I made a poor decision, I can learn from it. And then I can move on and say, okay, what would be the right decision to make in this position? Secondly, loving. Every time you mention love, you automatically in your mind, why? Go to a relationship. Because from the beginning of time, we were made for relationship. When God created Adam, it was for himself because of relationship. For him to have someone to worship and talk to. For him to worship him and talk to him. So then when Eve was created for Adam, he looked around and said, well, everybody has a pair but Adam. And it's not good that man be alone. So know that it's in our genetics that it may not be good for man to be alone, but from the beginning of time, relationships were created, but they were not created in the way that they've evolved and been, I would like to say, corrupted. Relationships were created for a good and pure purpose. And we have to get back to the pureness of a relationship. And until Adam was in a place where he had a relationship with himself and God first, before he was able to receive Eve. So that's what you have to get to a place with. When loving yourself, you have to come to a oneness with you and your creator before you can even be presented to your promise. And until then, because you have so much, even from childhood, that needs to be dealt with, healed, counseling. I've been there, done that. the depression and different things that you haven't talked to anybody about. You can't expect someone to come love something out of you that you don't want to love yourself. You can't expect someone to spend time with you when you haven't learned how to take yourself out to eat, when you haven't learned how to love and enjoy spending time with just yourself. You're not ready. And admittance is the first step. So you're here. You said you were ready for the challenge. So let's see if you come back. Work on forgiveness and love. And that's loving you and God. So we'll see how you're progressing. And what I want you to take from this is that no matter what, until you love the right way and the right one, you cannot possibly love your promise, because you don't love yourself and you don't love God. And when your promise comes, he has to be able to be in a relationship and love God to be able to love you. So in all things in decency and order, when the promise comes, it ain't something you have to fight over. He's not going to still be married and just separated, ladies, okay? Men, she's not going to be just getting out, almost out of relationship. So let's be honest. Your promise is yours. No strings attached. A promise is a promise. That means that person will get to a point in their life where they can't go any further without you, and you can't go any further without them. That don't mean jump head first into marriage. That means get to know the promise. But first of all, get to know you. Until next time, peace and blessings. It's Stephanie, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for coming on the journey.